And here's the second part. Interesting stuff, I think, if you have the patience and the attention span to consume it.
Now, this view that I'm sharing with you is what's called the angel view of Genesis 6. It's the view the ancient rabbis held. It's the view of the early church up until about the 5th century. It is not taught in seminaries today because it makes many people uncomfortable. But there's an aspect of this that many people miss, and that's the Rephaim. In Genesis 6, verse 4, it says, also after that. And there are Nephilim after the flood. The Nephilim that were present in Noah's day were wiped out in the flood, no question about it. But Satan is not through. And when God told Abraham that his descendants would be away for 400 years and then return to the land, he mentions all that in Genesis 17. When God announces that to Abraham, that means Satan also picked up on that. And Satan realized he had 4 centuries to lay down a minefield before the return of these people. And that's why, when you get to the book of Joshua, there's a series of tribes that are, God instructs Joshua to wipe out every man, woman, and child of these particular tribes. And one of them were the Rephaim. But if you look, you can look at the Bible as a drama of Satan's attempts to try to thwart the plan of God. And it started in, a couple of things earlier, but primarily the corruption of Adam's line. This whole strategy of the Nephilim was an attempt to corrupt God announced that the line that the man would be redeemed by a descendant of Adam and Eve. And by corrupting that chain, Satan hoped to thwart the plan of God. The flood took care of that. As he incrementally explains his plan of redemption, it allows Satan to focus attacks. Then God says he's going to do it through Abraham's seed. So Abraham is singled out for special treatment. The famine in Genesis 50. The destruction of the male line by Pharaoh in Exodus 1. Pharaoh's pursuit of Israel even after he let them go in Exodus 14. And of course here we're encountering the population of Canaan with the Rephaim. As God explains that he's going to do it through David's line gets specifically singled out by Satan. And we find again and again the heirs to the throne being wiped out. But then there's an infant hidden by a servant or something that always thwarts these plans. And even when you get to the Persian Empire and the Haman, when he tried to wipe out all Jews, this is Satan behind the scenes trying to thwart it, whether you're talking about Haman or whether you're talking about Nazi Germany. But I do want to share with you an enigma that you might find interesting. What does the Golan Heights, Hebron, and the Gaza Strip have in common? These were all areas that Joshua failed to completely exterminate the Rephaim. Deuteronomy 20 and Joshua 15 and elsewhere. If you do a map of Israel and study the book of Judges, you'll find the area of Golan, Jenin, Nablus, Ramallah, Jericho, of course, which means, by the way, Bet Yarah, the house of the moon god, and Jerusalem and Gaza. These are the strongholds that Israel failed to completely defeat, to wipe out completely. What's interesting, these are the areas that today are still in dispute. It's interesting that the capital of the Amorites was Jericho. That's why the Battle of Jericho is so important in Joshua 6 and following. It's interesting that where is the PLO capital today?